Allen Iverson quickly became one of the NBA's must-see spectacles. Barely 6 feet tall, he blew past defenders with his blinding speed and fearlessly attacked the much larger players guarding the basket. There was no denying the breathtaking talent. He averaged an NBA-best 31.1 points per game and was named the league's MVP in 2001. Capping the season with a spirited effort in the NBA Finals against the powerful Los Angeles Lakers. Iverson continued to both amaze and frustrate his fans. He led the league in scoring and steals for the second consecutive season in 2001-02, before concluding the campaign with a famous rant in which he seemingly mocked the importance of practice. Standing at 6 foot, 165 pounds, Allen Iverson is one of the smallest MVPs in league history. Today's video will be NBA legends and players talking about how insanely good Allen Iverson was. Kobe Bryant. Allen Iverson had a lot of battles with Kobe Bryant through the course of his 15-year NBA career. He put Kobe to the ultimate test during his first few years in the league. Kobe reportedly even looked up how great white sharks operated in order to get a feel for Iverson's game. This obsession paid off as Kobe became one of the league's best defenders at the time. He still held Iverson in the highest regard, once remarking, "We're all fortunate that Allen Iverson isn't 6'5". Otherwise, it would have been over for the league. Pack up and say goodbye." Allen Iverson was a natural athlete in the mold of Michael Jordan. Most fans of the Sixers legend stand in agreement that Iverson could have also carved out a successful NFL career. His quickness, fleetness of foot, and ability to fake his opponents out with his jerky movements is truly all-time. Iverson was not a man with a plan, but he sent men with plans scurrying back to their stat sheets. Kevin Durant. When you think of Allen Iverson, you think of a tiny player with a lightning-quick crossover and an inhuman ability to hit tough shot after shot. The more you think about it, the more you can see the similarities in Durant's game, especially when you remember that Iverson did it first. And that's what Durant explained after he passed Iverson for 25th place on the NBA's all-time scoring list. Durant said passing Iverson was a huge deal to him because of how much the Sixers legend meant to Durant when he was a young player figuring out his own game. So Iverson, he was the pantheon for me. One of those guys that I emulated every time that I went outside and played with my friends. It's all surreal. I pictured I would be in the league and had an idea, but to do it is pretty special. Once he came to the league, he had players. I was a center, power forward on my young team, and we were all long crossing and double crossing. He influenced a lot of people. Durant's game is particularly singular for a 7-footer, and that his handles basically mirror a guard's control over the ball despite his size. There's no doubt growing up on a steady diet of Iverson highlights was a huge reason for Durant turning into the player he is today, an unguardable scorer who gets buckets with ease. LeBron James. LeBron admitted that Iverson, along with Michael Jordan, was one of his favorite players to watch on tape. He's taken his infatuation one step further, calling AI pound for pound the greatest player ever. Standing at 6 feet and tipping the scale at around 165 pounds, Iverson didn't tower over or outmuscle anyone. He scored out of sheer will. I don't take anything away from AI. Well, I do. His will. They say he was 6 feet, but AI was like 5'10 and a half. Do we even want to say 160, 170 pounds? Do we even want to give him that much weight? And he played like a 6'8" two-guard. He was one of the greatest finishers we've ever seen. Of all players in NBA history who were 6 feet or shorter, Iverson is the only one to average 20-plus points per game for his career. His 26.7 rank first. And it's not even close. Chris Paul comes in a distant second with 18.1. How about that? And how about each and every one of those 24,368 points he scored? Iverson is the shortest player in NBA history to notch 20,000 points for his career. A pair of 6'2" players, Jerry West and Hal Greer, are the closest to his size. Chauncey Billups. Throughout his career, there were so many stories from other NBA players that showed a tremendous respect everybody had for Iverson. One of them also comes from another great former NBA player, Chauncey Billups, who is in his own right a legend. He shared why he feared Iverson the most out of any player in the league back in the day. For Billups, Iverson's combination of quickness and the ability to handle the ball was a defense problem. He was also relentless and had that killer mentality of never letting up until he scores 40 points or even more, which was often the case with Iverson, especially in his prime years. I loved it. And it's not that I don't want to face him, but knowing it's going to be an uphill battle. I always had a tough time with little, really fast guys, and he got by me really easy. He was just fearless, and he never let up. And he was a warrior. You couldn't bully him, and I could bully a lot of guys. AI was my guy for sure. Unfortunately, Iverson never won an NBA championship, even though he achieved almost every individual accomplishment you can in the league. Nevertheless, he remains one of the most influential basketball players in the last 20 years, and most certainly, we'll never see anyone with the same combination of skill, charisma, and swagger in the NBA soon enough. Paul Pierce. Allen Iverson was one of the most slippery guards in the pick and roll, getting past defenders before they could even pivot their lead foot. This is understandable, as he didn't need a screen half the time, so when he received one, it made sense as to how fast he would leave the man switching onto him in dust. Paul Pierce had the unfortunate task of switching onto the answer from time to time, and he makes it very clear that he wasn't up to such a daunting task. I'm not gonna lie, I was scared to death because I knew I could play defense and all, but I knew I couldn't slide my feet with Allen Iverson. Every night when you looked up at the Sports Center highlights, he was crossing somebody. He was putting somebody in the mix. When I switched on him, I was gonna give him that old leg defense. I was gonna let him do his move, and I'm gonna let him go. Hopefully I could send him to the baseline, because I was not trying to slide my feet with that guy. Chris Webber. Following his 6-year stint with the Kings that resulted in 4 All-Star nominations, Webber got traded to Philly halfway through the 2005 season. The hope was that he could help aid Allen Iverson in leading the Sixers deep into the postseason. In 3 seasons, he averaged 17.9 points per game and 9.3 rebounds per game before being waived in the early days of the 2006-2007 season. During an interview before getting inducted into the Hall of Fame, he reflected on his time in Philadelphia and sharing the floor with Iverson. AI is the best athlete I've ever seen in my life. He's the best player I've ever played with, period. This is some high praise for the 6-foot guard from Georgetown. Webber played on some historically good teams during his time in basketball, between the Fab Five at Michigan and the peak Kings teams. Webber has played alongside a plethora of talented players. For him to say Iverson is the best teammate he's ever played with is a major compliment. Despite his reputation off the court, there is no denying how special of a player Iverson was. Still, to this day, he is viewed as the best player ever pound for pound. Very few players have ever left their mark on the game the way Iverson did. He used his speed and quickness to take advantage of slower, taller players. He wasn't afraid of playing defense or sacrificing his body for a layup. In the process, he became the embodiment of an entire city and its fighting spirit. And what do you guys think? Where do you rank Iverson all time? How good would he be if he played today? I would love to hear your opinion, so please let me know in the comments. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more amazing NBA content.